Well, what really motivated me to run for mayor is LaFollette has been wonderful to my family. Born and raised in LaFollette, lived here all my life, and being with the Parks and Rec for so many years, I've met so many people, and we have wonderful people in the community. And I just wanted to give back to the community, and I love public service. Being serving on the school board for 6 years, I love helping people, and I'm a problem solver, and I like to, get along well with others. So I thought, by running for mayor, I could give back to the community. First and foremost, you got to be able to get along with and work well with the council, and I will be doing that. I get along well with others, and I have a past history of that. And out in the public, talking to people, we have to, and I've talked all during my campaign, we've got to implement a 5-year road paving program, and that's not going to cause your taxes to increase or anything like that. That's one of the things that I'm definitely going to be looking at in my first 4 years. And also, there's been a lot of requests for sidewalk repairs. In the early, probably 60s and 70s, we did a lot of sidewalks in the city, and they're in need of repair now. So I've had a lot of people out on the campaign trail talk about that, and I want to bring back the April fix up cleanup month that we did before, where the community comes together, and we can put large dumpsters in certain areas of town, and people can come in, like on our Fix Up Cleanup Month, and, still having to drive all the way to Jacksboro, we could have those in the city. It worked really well. We did those, some years ago, and I want to bring that back. And also I want to bring what you can remember was the Unity in the Community Committee, to where we form a group of citizens to come up to plan for festivals. I'd like to have at least 2 festivals a year, and so that's just some of the few things in my first 4 years in office. I think, I would of course love to see LaFollette, back like it used to be when we were kids, more people. I want more reasons for people to come to LaFollette. They need a reason to come to LaFollette, and that brings, business to our local business people. And also just, which I've been involved in athletics, we're working on a plan when I retired August 30th on the a new sports complex. It's down on the 4-lane, the property that the city acquired. We're looking at some soccer fields and baseball fields, and our kids deserve nice facilities, just like everybody else, and and that's going to be able to do that without getting into our budget, because the city was fortunate enough to have the land, so we could use our land as our matching grant through the local Parks and Recreation Fund grant that I've worked with a lot during my 10 years recreation director. So, I would love to see that happen. I'd love to see more stuff for our seniors. And definitely want to support our seniors and veterans and their families. And just another thing that's a big topic out in the public is making our city, beautifying our city, and making it look better. And anything we can do to assist the property owner. I've had some ideas thrown around with some, like with the Boy Scouts, or maybe even the high school football team, to take like 1 week to help clean up. There's a lot of elderly people that needs assistance, so I would like to do some of that, and just make our town look better. And I think people will work with the city, and we can work together as a team to make this happen. I have 40 years experience with the city. I have a lot of experience working with the budget. I know what the city, the grants that we're working on now, I know how the city works. And again, I get along well with others, and you got to work with your department heads. And I think my experience separates me from my opponents, and I don't mean that in a harsh way. You know, all the people that's running against me are good people, and I've run a clean campaign. I've not run a negative campaign, because if that's what it took, then I wouldn't be doing this. But I think my experience separates me from my opponents. You know, being with the city for 40 years, serving on the school board for 24 years, and I've got the experience. I know the budget. Again, you know, that's very important, and keeping our taxes low, and I know enough through my experience that, you know, to be able to do that. And I think I'm the best choice, because I feel like I can be mayor on day one with no on-the-job training, and I think that that really separates me from my opponents. First of all, you know, once elected mayor, my office will always be open. You know, if someone has a problem with maybe a question with the street department, whether it be the police department or the rec department, you know, I will always be available. There will be transparency in my office. If anybody wanted to talk to me, and it would be, you know, something in confidence, I'd always be there. And I just want to simply, I mean, we got a wonderful city, and I just simply want to make it better. And I humbly ask for your vote and support during early voting and on election day. And I would be proud to serve as your mayor, and it would be an honor to do that.
My prime motivation was that I've worked on the commission for 3 terms. And I'm happy to say that's without a tax increase. I got along great with my commission and the leadership that we have here in the county, and a lot of problems under my tenure were solved, maybe one-on-one or as a group, and I feel like that that is a good motivation of people, Kelly, that can depend on you when they're able to call you and be able to reach you. I've always answered every phone call I've ever had, and resolving problems is my expertise. I love to do that. I love to be there for my people, and where they know that they have somebody like Scotty they can come to and depend on and talk to and feel comfortable about talking with me, and that just keeps me motivation. My motivation is like, if the problems are getting solved, then hey, I must be doing something right, and the people feel comfortable about talking with me, and I'm able to handle those problems for them. And just, that's a big motivation for me. Making people happy, resolving their problems for them is a huge plus for me. And Kelly, also being available for people. It's very important to say to this audience of yours, I can make one promise through my campaign. I will not be on the golf course. I don't play golf. I don't intend to do that. And I can most certainly tell my audience, your audience, that I most certainly will not be riding in my vehicle all day long. I will be going around to different departments and visiting and gallivanting with them and being happy, and that's, I think that's getting along with people with the LaFollette city is very important to me. My short-term goal would most certainly be the highways in the city of LaFollette. It's took way too long for Beach Street to get fixed. Most people know that I'm the type of guy that would be, I would get in my vehicle. I have the connections in Nashville. I would go down there and talk to the main persons or people that I need to do that with, and get, expedite getting these roads fixed. Because, the thing about it is I'm a citizen too, and I drive these city roads. I know all of them in Beach Street, but we have others in the city too that need attention, okay? Especially the side roads. But Beach Street is a very high traveled area. I would take that task on, since I do have the connections in Nashville. When I was a county commissioner, I would make sure that that would get expedited. It don't matter who would be in charge. You go to the main source here and make sure that you take that in stride, because people pay bills. They've got enough bills on them the way it is in the first place. Well, when you take and travel and you have to have an alignment, you have to have maybe a bad tire, the state or the city's not going to reimburse them for that. So that comes out of the citizens' pocket, and I want to make sure that I take that on in every problem that I possibly can. I'm a on hands kind of guy, city mayor, and I'm going to make sure that my people know that I have their first and best interest to any of these major problems like that. I don't just play around. I'm an action kind of guy. The long-term goals that I have for the city of LaFollette for 4 years would most certainly, Kelly, be our children. A lot of the children, cannot afford, sometimes can't play sports or something like that. We probably need to try to focus on something, for that group of kids that need to do something, whether it's a bounce house, something to keep them occupied. It's how we raise our children, and raising our children starts from home. And so a lot of kids don't get that opportunity, and they need an opportunity as well as a child that plays sports. And I love sports, and I've got a grandson that does sports there too. But you need all this other group of kids that don't do that and don't have any interest in sports. Maybe something else, like maybe we need to try to think about a pool. Or I think you one time had a great idea of the skating rink. I thought it was a fantastic idea. We need to just do something to keep their little minds occupied as they grow into adult life, and we need to think about stuff like that. And those are really important to me, our children. Make it focusing on them, and I'll put my heart and my soul into that, and I'll make that. If we have to do a long term, I think that we need to try to work on that. Even with the council, we need to try to focus on stuff like that. When you're talking about a splash park versus a splash pad, there's two differences in those. Right now, we have what they call a splash pad. Not that I'm against. We want to do. If other cities around us can do it, then we can do it. These children have got to be our first priority. And I think most people that know who I am and know what I'm about, and my back work experience, and the things that I have accomplished in as a county commissioner, to be able to give back to the children in the community, I'm very proud of that. And my heart is definitely in the city of LaFollette and our people. I love the city so much. The people has gave me so much here, and I want to give back in return. My qualifications seem on a 3-year term as county commission. As I was saying earlier, I'm able to solve problems. I'm always able to be available. I can most certainly tell everyone that I'll be in the office more than 2 hours a day, unless I maybe have a show or something at the end of the weekend or something like that. I'll always be available. My phone number will be available. My people will be available to come to my office and talk with me. And I want to try also, Kelly, I know that I can have a good relationship with the merchants. As myself, I've been in business, an entrepreneur in the flea market business for 48 years. I have business experience. Like I say, I'll be available for our people, and I love tackling these problems, and I've done 12 years of $90 million budgets, and the most important thing is that you care about the people. Say, for an example, are homeless, for an example. There's two issues here when it comes to homeless. Homeless, protecting the people that pays our taxes, Say for an example, our people are leery and scared sometimes when these homeless are around the neighborhoods, so we want to protect those people. But we also want to try to reach out to the homeless and try to help them, and maybe work with Judge Jones and other organizations in the county to try to get this under control. And I know that we have a terrible drug problem here. Also, I want to focus, Kelly, on the downtown flea market, because that's how some of them get their extra money to pay their bills, because they don't have a whole lot of money, you know, when they pay their bills, and that's very important to me. I want to try to focus on promoting that, you know, and also I want to also help the mom and pop stores in the city of LaFollette. I want to be instrumental on helping them, because without their revenue, we can't pay our bills. So I'm going to promote those businesses, restaurants and hardware stores. All the mom and pop stores need to be promoted in the city of LaFollette, and that's one of my long-term goals too, is to do that. I also want to focus on our city employees and make sure that they get the pay that they deserve. I do know that if you go to other places, other cities beyond us, they're making a lot more money. We need to keep our city employees at home with their families. That's another long-term goal of mine, to help those as well. I did this for the county employees. I spearhead that with the county employees for the last 6 years, and they got their raises, and I'm proudly to say that to help those as well. I want to ask you, the citizens of LaFollette, I humbly ask you for your vote. I've been on this campaign trail since May. I haven't stopped. My first and foremost interest is you, the people of the city of LaFollette. I can't make it without you all. You have believed in me. I was your 2nd District County Commissioner for 3 terms. I've put my heart and soul into this, and I will do the same for the precious city of LaFollette. I'll make you, the people, proud.
The 2 biggest things right out of the gate is, number one is transparency. We need to be far more open and transparent to the citizens of LaFollette. I think everything should be an open book. As a matter of fact, the city charter under Article 7 has the descriptions of what is supposed to be released to the media every year regarding budgets and financials and everything, and I have yet to see those released. And along those lines, I think we need to be transparent on everything. Unless it's a strategy of a pending legal matter, everything else is open book, because it's the citizens' government. It's not the people running the government. It's the citizens' government. They have the people in position of not only the council but other positions. They have a fiduciary responsibility to be accountable to the citizens. And I think that over a period of time we've hit this comfort zone that they just keep everything to themselves. Nothing ever comes out unless it has to be. And that's not right. I don't believe in that. Well, that's the first one. And the second one's real simple, because everyone that lives on LaFollette sees this on a daily basis as you drive around. We have got to get our roads caught up. Our road infrastructure is far behind on repairs of potholes and everything on our asphalt. We're years behind as a whole, because we have almost 72 miles of total roads that we're responsible for in the city of LaFollette. And we can get grants to do this, and most of the grants are going to pay 80% or more. A lot of them, because we're a rural area, we can get an STIP for probably 92, 93%. And then there's some fees we'll pay out for the difference. But still, we can get $1 million worth of work done for less than $200,000. That's a win-win, any way you look at it. And the average cost of just a normal repair for a 2-lane road on asphalt, runs about $70,000, $74,000. If we have to do a lot of repairs and stuff like that, it could, go $80,000, $82,000 a mile is what it is. And if you think about it, we've got 71.6 miles, I think. 71.7. We're getting 1.6 of it taken care of on the Beach Street grant finally after 6 years. Well, the problem about not completing these grant projects, and a lot of people don't know this, is when you get a grant like an FTIP grant that we received in 2018 for Beach Street, we cannot apply and receive another STIP grant until Beach Street is completed. So 6 years, for one reason or another, that project's not been done, but we've got all these other miles of road. So we've got a dollar waiting on a dime. You always want to progressively get your projects done. And that's where my prior business experience of managing large projects is, the first thing you do, develop your flow chart, your checkpoints, your steps of going through it, and you track that. 6 years, let's just take away COVID, because I've heard all the excuses. COVID was 3.5 years ago. What have we done in 3.5 years? It's 1.6 miles. It's not going from here to Nashville. It's 1.6 miles. So I started researching, asking questions, and I've gotten answers of, well, the person at TDOT, they've been moved, so they got a new person in as our contact. Well, evidently this has happened 5, maybe 6 times. Okay, I'll give you that one time, because I'm a project completion type person. I'll take that once, but I'll never take it twice. The second time I got that excuse, I'm on the phone to our state representative and our state senator, and we're getting meetings set up with TDOT if we have evaluated permission, and we get the project done. 3.5 years for 1.6 miles after the pandemic. I'm sorry, it's just not acceptable. I don't care what excuse it is, because I'm blunt. I'm not going to run from it. I'm not that type of person. It's unacceptable. Well, with my background, what I want to do is bring professionalism back in to the government of LaFollette. I'm all about optics, because I spent so many years working in corporate life, and they teach you, when you get up to a certain level, when you get up to executive type management, there's 3 absolutes. Everything else is day-to-day operation. It doesn't matter what it is. There's 3 absolutes that you do if you want to be a leader, and you have to accomplish them, because that's your focus. They all carry an equal amount of weight. One of them is always protect the organization, no matter what it is. And when I say protect the organization, that's protect it legally. That's to do things legally. That's to do things we used to refer to as inside the 4 corners of the legal document. As long as you have the proper document, you follow what's inside those 4 corners, and you don't step outside of them on your own hunches or your own, oh, I think that's the way it is. You're protecting the organization. And the second one is you protect the liquidity. And liquidity is the phrase that it's used in corporate. The only thing that means is you protect the balance sheet, the revenue, the expenditures, and you do constant watching over that. It's called flash reports. It's condensed. You get your target areas that might be slipping, and those are your focus areas. Any day of the week you should have at least 5 focus areas, because whatever you focus on will go away. Whatever you don't focus on has a tendency to stay. It's that simple. It doesn't matter the dollar denomination. And then the third one, which I said they're equal, and they are, but I've always had an extra passion for the third one, is the employees. Because it doesn't matter what your organization is, it doesn't matter how small, medium, large, or extra large. You can own all the vehicles, you can own all the property, the buildings, everything. Your biggest asset's your employees. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes everything run. And you take care of your employees, and you take care of them through proper training, follow-up, pay, benefits, interaction. You don't want to ever... There's a phrase of before the rubber hits the road. You can have your upper level management, your mid-management, and so forth. The rubber hits the road is your day-to-day employees. That's your asset. You take care of your asset, and it doesn't matter what the organization is, it'll grow, it'll prosper, it'll be happy. My experience when I was in corporate that I grew into over many years was I got to where they called me the turnaround guy. I would go into markets that were underperforming. They had been run poorly for years, and they had board would pull the trigger and say we need to change. Well, the first thing I do is I had to know what was good and what was bad. And so first thing I do, and I developed a pattern for it, is I go in and I check everything top to bottom. I'm not looking for a person. I'm looking for procedures, policies, guidelines, training. I want to see where are we, is there anything in there that we need to adjust? Is there any of our operating policies that are outdated? Is there employee policies that are outdated? Or is there any gaps in what we're doing? And then I look at the financials, and there's an old terminology in big business is when you get to the financial section of the review, you're looking for what's called MLOT. M-L-O-T, money left on table. MLOT is the definition of, have we negotiated a contract poorly? Have we not taken advantage of economic conditions? Have we invested money, incorrectly? Have we overpaid? There's just so many elements that goes into MLOT, and you would be very surprised. Someone thinks everything is good, and we may be off a little bit, but when you do that, when you analyze it from a business standpoint, it would shock you the deficiencies that are there based on market trends, market value. Oh, we could have done this in-house. We didn't have to hire this out for $6,000. We've already got people on staff we could have signed it to and done it for $800. You would be very surprised on how much money accumulates in that MLOT column. Even if it's a small operation, I done it for a friend of mine 10 years ago that he just had a very small operation, and I went through and looked at his books, and I found over $47,000. And this is a guy who was only doing 400 and some thousand a year. Small mom and pop. But there was things that was going on that he just didn't, realize. The way that I would be at a meeting is probably a lot different than what they've been used to. There's different ways to have a meeting. A meeting, with my background, before you have the meeting, you have research, you have preparation, and you have ideas. You accomplish those three items before you have the meeting. Anyone can show up to a room at a time with a notebook and some paper, and they sit there. And they have someone at the end of the table or across the table that goes off a pre-prepared list. And there's no interaction. There's no real presentation of the meeting. I am the farthest from that ever. I take my turn, but you'll also see that I'm the type of person that I don't set. Leaders don't sit at meetings for the entire meeting. Leaders are the ones who show up with a tripod and a big paper notepad and other items. They're the ones who stand up and say, look, I'd like to present this to the group, and this is what I've been working on, and I'd like to go over with this, with the group. You're giving research, preparation, you're exploring new ideas, and you're given the what-if scenarios. Because are all the ideas right? No, nobody's right. But what you do is you can't find right if you don't go looking for it. And every problem that comes up, we were always trained every problem is a solution waiting to happen. You just got to find out how to fix it. And see, I'm more to get involved, bring things to the table, vision, big picture. Are they all going to be right? No, nobody's like that. But if I bring 15 things and the group likes 6 of them that they might have never even thought of, or they might have been thinking of one but just didn't take step 2 and 3. That's what I bring. I bring the big picture, the forecasting, the 3, 5, 10-year plan. Because I want to see LaFollette grow and prosper for our children and our grandchildren for the next generations. We've got to lay the foundation now in order to secure that in the future. And I think that's my biggest forte is organization and meetings, because I would never show up to a meeting. You have to show respect for what you're doing. You show professionalism and respect for the position. I would never show up to a meeting without a shirt and a tie, because the citizens deserve a government that's ran professionally and accordingly. Because in modern day and time with social media, we would have a very hard time recruiting businesses, because the first thing you do when you contact them, they're going to pull up our meetings online. And when we have workshops that last 35, 55 minutes, you cannot buy that kind of advertising on TV. You can't buy it. It's unaffordable. Take advantage of what's in front of you and present yourself at the best foot every time. If you're doing anything that represents the city, that's the organization. If you represent the organization, one, profession, courtesy. That's it. It's not that hard. And when you're having a meeting and you have a presenter, the last thing you do is interrupt them. We were taught from day one that whether you liked the idea or you didn't like the idea, whoever the presenter was beside the point. You were representing the company. At that table, at that moment, you give utmost attention to the person doing it. You show respect and professionalism. No interruptions, no nothing. And at the end, if you got a question, ask a question. But you never interrupt the presenter. Well, one of the other things I want to touch base on is, my vision for the future for the city of LaFollette is I really want to come up with some ideas from the public, from the parents, to have more activities for our children. And I stand on helping the children because I coach Little League basketball. I've done it for years. I'm involved with children. So when I say I want to see more activities, it's because for years I've been in the trenches dealing with them. I do clinics in the summertime. I dedicate, like this past summer, I run two-hour clinics every week. So I was dedicating 4 hours a week of my time to that. In the fall, when I coach basketball, we have practices every week, plus we have the games on Saturdays. And when we have those games on Saturday, I devote, out of the season, 12, 14 Saturdays helping the children. And I don't know about my other candidates and what they're doing, but I know if you just look at the ones that are running, I'm the only one that's coach, that's active. So when I say I want to involve the children, I want to do more activities, I'm actually doing it. I'm not thinking about doing it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I've actually been doing it for years. So I want to enlarge that. I want to make it better for the children at all times. And then the last part is I'm more about, as I stressed earlier about transparency, I'm more about wanting to bring the public, the citizens, because the citizens of LaFollette, in my mind, are stakeholders. They have a stake in everything that goes on within the city limits of LaFollette. That's their investment. I want to bring them into many town halls. I want to have at least 4 of them a year, if not more. I want to try and get the citizens in. I don't want to keep them out. I don't want to shield them. I don't want to keep bad news from them. I want to be so transparent that they're like, hey, let's go down there and get involved with this. Let's give some ideas on doing this. Let's give some ideas on roads. Let's do some ideas on parks. Let's do some ideas on children activities. Maybe we get some volunteer work out of it. Whatever. I'm open for anything to help the city and the children, because I've done it for many, many, many years, coaching and doing clinics and stuff. I enjoy it. Not everybody does. There's a lot of guys out here that do it. There's a lot of men and women that coach and spin clinics, and I don't think they get the recognition that they do. That they take off work early. They spend late nights coaching and practicing, and they're kind of like the unsung heroes of watching over our children's development. So I really appreciate everything they do, because we have a hard time getting enough coaches. We have a lot core every year, but we're always saying we need another one for this, we need another one for that, and we have to go out and try and find someone to do it. So I appreciate everyone. If I could end with one thing, is this election, this cycle is a time of choosing. It really is. This vote going forward would probably set the foundation for the future of our city. Because if you look at the past, where we are, past 4 or 6 years, where we are today, and then look forward, this cycle is the true definition of time of choosing. It's time to just stand back and say, who can do the most in the next 4 years, and use the common sense and pull the lever for the person who you think's going to do the most. That's the best I can say. I'm not the guy that sits around fires and sings kumbaya. I'm the guy that tells it straight. You ask me a question, I can tell you. I'm a focused individual like that, and I'm asking for your vote because I think I really can help make a difference, but I can't do it alone. See, that's the secret. I can't stand alone and do it. That's where I need, after the election, if I'm fortunate enough to get your vote, that's when I need you to come in and help give me more ideas, and let's expand and get feedback, and I want to run ideas by you. It's a team effort both ways. So I really appreciate your vote in November. It'd be greatly appreciated, and I think we can really make a progress for our growth and prosperity going forward.
Well, I've been married for 39 years in November to my wife, Donna. Beautiful wife, I should say. She's been very much a trooper, standing by me through my whole career and with me. Raised our family here in LaFollette. Haley and Tori's our 2 children. They're both grown. They participated in all the sports and activities that we have growing up here in LaFollette, and church activities, other little activities that we had. You know, everything pretty much centered around LaFollette and those activities that was generated out of LaFollette. We attend church here. We go to Hope and Stand and believe in God's salvation for us. And I encourage people to go to church and find a church of your choosing and go to it. It's a critical time in our world, and we really need God in it. And to go back to the history of our country, we were founded on one of those principles, and our forefathers had enough wisdom, and I think it was wisdom instilled by God, and to write a constitution that we all are, that's used today to as a measuring stick, and in that is inalienable rights that we're all given, and part of that is freedom of speech, freedom of worship, and freedom to vote, and vote as we choose. So I encourage people to take advantage of those, because our veterans, they fight for that and defend and die for it in the defense of that, and it's important that we keep that and use it and have our voice heard in one fashion or another, and voting is an important part of that. And it's in any public service, you know, I think it's important that the public understands what you're doing and that you're doing it with the utmost ethics. Otherwise, you're doing the right thing when no one's looking. That's what we expect of our public servants. And transparency in that is important. Now, to that, there is times, a little caveat, if you will, that we can't divulge things for whatever reason. You know, whether it's in government work, as in what we're discussing here today, there may be transactions that's in the works that's not beneficial to the people involved for it to be made public just at that point, but there should be a point in time where we can make that public. And you know, holding yourself to a high regard, I think, is important. It's just that instills faith and confidence for all involved citizens we serve, and the people we will serve with and work with, and the people we're asking to make investments in our community. There's been several things. I struggled with it at first, so I called some people at church and asked them to pray about this, that this had been put on my heart. I couldn't say no to it because I felt like that I brought something to the table maybe that's not been brought before, a different perspective. Anytime we're in a position for length of time, sometimes we get tunnel vision or blinders, if you will, and it's good to bring in new perspectives and opportunities. I'm not looking at it for a career, I'm just looking at it to help make a change in things and for the betterment of our citizens. So after much prayer, counseling with my wife, it just seemed like that was the thing to do, is to offer myself now. I'm not sure what God had planned for me, but I know He's got something planned, and I feel like I should follow through with it, and I'm going to put my best foot forward, and if I'm fortunate enough to be elected to it, then I'm going to do the best that I can to serve the public and ensure that we are doing the best, being the best guardian, if you will, of the city resources that we have. When you sit and start looking at it, there's a multitude of things you would like to see done, but the reality of it is it's not always easy to accomplish. You're one vote, but I think there's some things that we can do immediately to help the city, help the businesses in our city, which in turn helps us as property owners in the sense that we're not having to bear the burden of city operations, because the things in the world are just much more expensive. Our gas is more expensive, our vehicles, our equipment, any upkeep that we need to do to our equipment is much more expensive than it has been in the past. So I think if we help promote our businesses, and I have a couple of ideas. One, I think we make downtown and the rest of the city a little more eye appealing, to get those people that normally don't stop by our businesses to stop in, check it out, spend some money. Studies show that if somebody spends $10 in a town, then it circulates multiple times in that town before it actually exits and goes to another area. And I think the more we can encourage people to stop in and see what we're about, the better we're going to be for our businesses, and thus so we're going to generate more sales tax, which computes to revenue within the city, which gives us the monies to cover our operating expenses. We have a great personnel that work for the city, and like any government employee or city or public servant, if you will, you don't do it for the money necessarily, but you got to have the money to survive, and we need to look at that and try to get them on a better pay scale than what they are, make them competitive. I remember when I first moved here in 1988, the first of 1989, LaFollette was always the top run of the pay and benefits, and place that you would hear people saying, I want to go to work there, that were government employees and so forth. And that's not a knock on anybody. I don't know what they were facing during the decisions, but it seems like they may have got left out in the shuffle, if you will, and we need to bring that back and look at it and get them more in line to where we're competitive. The backside of that is it's very expensive anytime we lose professional people in a government entity, whether it's our police department, fire departments, our equipment operators for city streets. We have to retrain, we have to pay those, to have them retrained. We have to be without that person while they're getting that required training to be able to operate the equipment. So we need to look at that long term and say, we serve better if we can keep people here with the experience and the training, as opposed to losing that experience and that work knowledge, if you will, of the area, and keep them here, give them a salary that they can afford and raise their family on. That's it's not a short-term fix. It'll take some time to sit down and counsel with the other counselors and our finance director and see how we can come about that. But I think it's doable. It's just a matter of having the attitude and the will to do it. Well, I really, as I said earlier about our Constitution, our forefathers was instilled the wisdom to write this document. And this is the measuring stick that's used all across the nation. And quite frankly, it's a measuring stick that other countries in the world despise because they don't have it, they want it, and therefore they don't get it, so they would like to see us not have it. So if we don't use it, the old adage, we're going to lose it. We got to encourage people to vote your heart, vote your conscience, and look to God for some guidance if you so desire to. And we need to support our veterans. Our veterans are especially our younger veterans are coming back. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of them, and during the campaign, quite frankly, I had the opportunity to meet several, and there's battle scars that you don't see, and I don't think that we give them enough recognition and appreciation for what sacrifices they and their families do. Because as a young man or young boy, I guess you could say, I remember the Vietnam vets. You know, my whole family was a part of that era, and I remember them coming home and seeing things that I wondered and questioned why we're beyond that, and we should be taking care of our veterans better than we are. And I think that's all very, again, it's a mindset that we got to get in and take care of the things that need to be taken care of, the things that are important. You know, when we look at LaFollette's history, what it's founded on, we've kind of let ourselves get in the status quo for the last few years. And I think when we look at that history, the founders of LaFollette, they were very good at adapting to the change. You know, when the coal mines and the mineral mines started slowing down and productivity was, we were losing jobs for that. The TVA came in and started flooding Norse down, building the Norse Lake, and they, through their wisdom and business sense, looked at it and said, this is an opportunity to capitalize on. And I would submit if they were able to use Norse Lake as a promotion for LaFollette, and the mountains that we have here as a promotion to attract people into LaFollette, then we're way light years above marketing and abilities to promote it and capitalize on that opportunities that are there. Just thank you for the opportunity, Kelly. This is important that the people get a chance to meet us. I've tried to see as many people. I've done door to door ever since I turned in my petition, and I know I haven't got to see a lot of people, or there's still people I haven't got to see. I guess I have seen a lot of people, and I apologize if I haven't got to talk to you, but I give you the opportunity if you want to call me at 615-933-3176. I'll be happy to talk with you, come and visit with you, and I'd love to hear your ideals. You know, what's important to you, because ultimately the council I look at as the guardians for your stakeholder, you as an individual who has an investment in our county and a success or the failures that our county has and our city has. So, but thank you.
What was that?
I'll be honest with you. That's what everybody's asked is why have you decided to run? And honestly, it's because one evening we was going to take the kids out to do something fun to kind of enjoy the weekend. Once we realized that we had to travel over an hour and a half to West Knoxville to go do something with our children, so we had to leave our own city and pass several other cities up just to go do something enjoyable with the family. I thought, you know, that's when it really clicked, is enough is enough. You know, we got to have somebody in there that's focused on not only the elders, you know, I definitely want to focus on them and everybody involved, you know, from a kid all the way up to 90 years old. But nobody, I don't think, has ever been in office, in our city office, that's really focused on the kids. And not only just the regular kids, but, you know, you've got your special ed kids. And so I was like, you know, I'm going to take that stand and be that person that goes in and fights for all of our people, not just a certain person or some sort of category of people, but everybody. Not only that, but, you know, honestly, I believe that you need you know, you'll have a lot of people that'll say, well, I've been in there for 10 years or 4 years, you know, however many years they've been in office. But that's good. That's good because they learn and they get wisdom off that. I'm not saying anything bad about that. But at the same time, you also need to have new generations come in ever so little bit to kind of catch your city and stuff up to speed, and try to see what's going on around other, you know, with other cities, and, you know, try to get focused and connected with that new generational term, you know. I believe the short-term goal to get in and get it focused is definitely our roads. Our roads and sidewalks is, I think, in my opinion, and it could be an actual, you know, set in stone truth about it, but in my opinion, I think within a 60-mile radius, our roads and sidewalks is probably one of the worst ones I've been on. that's bad to say, it really is, but it's just the truth. We all have to agree with that. So that would be one of the number one things that when I get in office, I'd be like, hey, we've got to get started on this. Let's get focused on this and get started. Because you've got people that travel into our city. And so when they're traveling on the roads that we have or walking on sidewalks that's broke up and, almost maybe getting hurt or something, they're going to stop and think for themselves. Like, we really don't know if we want to come back here or not, because look how the city's being maintained. So that's one of the short term, but one of the long term goals is definitely going to be, looking back and seeing what we started with this year. I hate to say, but a lot of empty buildings, nothing really here for nobody at all. In my opinion, I feel like our city right now is just like a retirement city where, it's just for people that's wanting to retire. They come in, don't really have a lot of fun going on or any, a lot of, loud music or anything going on downtown. It's just simple and quiet. So, I believe that when 4 years from now, I want to look back and say, man, look at this picture here where we didn't have nothing but empty buildings, and look at it now where our city and downtown is just full of people. So that's a couple of the things that, some of the goals. Honestly, I don't badmouth nobody, I don't. And it may sound like this, but I promise you I'm not. But if they go back and look at all these people that's been in office, that's in an office now looking for re-election or was in office looking for re-election, I would encourage these people to go back and look at some of the pictures and like the historical building downtown, or in like the pool room or something. He's got pictures of downtown what it looked like now or then, and kind of do some research and look at how everything's just depleted. I was informed, told that there was drive-in movie theaters downtown, just all sorts of stuff. And then look at it now, it's, back to, like I said before, empty buildings. So definitely do your research on the people that's been in office before, and see what they've took away from the city, not what they've gained. Of course, they've done some good stuff. I'm not going to say that they haven't, but they have done some good stuff. But, definitely look at all that, and then look at, go back and watch some of the other debates that I've had or the forums, and watch them. But, I definitely want people to know that just because I'm 27 years old and never ran for office doesn't mean I'm not a smart person. I can pick up on anything just like that. If it's whatever it is, never done it before, you throw it in front of me, and I'll pick up on day one. So I definitely, want people to know that. But also, like I said before, a new generation. Again, I'm not down on anybody for age or anything, but, I believe it's time to get some of the elders out of the office and let your new generations come in, because that's where, our next generation will be the ones that step up and take control. And so you want to make sure that everything's up to date for them, and that way they don't have to come in when they take over office, in the next 10 years and have to update it from 20 years ago, And so, I could go on and on about it, but I just really want to encourage people to do their research on the people that's been in office before, and look at what was here back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, and then look at it now. You're going to see that there's more empty buildings now than what there was back then. I keep saying that I'm for our children, and I am. I'm all for children. I have 2 of my own, and I also raise some of my nieces and nephews. The children I have in my home range from 5 years old all the way up to 16. So I've got a whole, ball field of different ages and ranges of ages. But not only am I for their children, but I'm also for the children who have special needs. I believe that if Caryville can have a special needs playground, then I believe the city of LaFollette can have one too. We only have one playground in this city that I'm aware of, and it's over by the police department. But none of that is ADA, accessible. Anybody on a wheelchair cannot get on that playground. In my opinion, I feel like that is almost like discrimination, because it's been updated over the past few years, but it's not been updated to ADA compliance. So, not only am I here for our children, I'm also here for the special needs children as well. I would just like to say, again, definitely do your research on the people that's been in office before. Look at what they have accomplished and what they haven't accomplished. But I'm willing to go in when elected from day one and get started. I'm going to be the type of person that will always be available. I've said it in the past, and I'll still keep on saying it because that's just who I am. I'm not going to be the type of person that once I get in office, you're not going to be able to see me in grocery stores. You're not going to see me out in public. You can't ever get a hold of me in the office, or can't ever get in touch with me at all. My Facebook's always open. My cell phone number's always open. When in office, I'll continue to shop at the small grocery stores. I won't have to travel out of town. But I just want people to know that I'm here to start from day one to fight for them. And anytime they need anything, they can always reach out. So I would be humbled and honored to have the vote and let the citizens of LaFollette give me the opportunity to show them that I am willing to step up to the plate and fight for them, and that I am going to make sure that our city gets all that it deserves to get.